Most 911 calls end with a siren, a rescue, or a report. But some calls end in a silence so heavy it feels like it has a pulse. Tonight, we're looking at 5 real cases where the phone line became the only witness to the impossible. From a woman who predicted her own tragedy to a man who vanished while the dispatcher was still on the line. But pay close attention to the details, because the final case we'll cover today isn't just a mystery. It's a recording of the exact second a human being stepped off the map of our reality. It is, quite simply, the most chilling piece of audio ever captured by a dispatch center. You'll want to stay until the very end to hear why that one word changed everything. Case 1, the pantry vanishing. Real case, Asher Degree, 2000, North Carolina. It begins with the soft scrape of a door closing. A young woman whispering into the phone, her breath tight, the sound of panic trying to stay silent. Her name was Asher Degree. She was just 9 years old when she made that call on February 14, 2000. She told the dispatcher she was hiding in her pantry. She heard footsteps. She said there was someone or something outside the door, just breathing. Asher lived in Shelby, North Carolina with her family. By all accounts, she was a normal, happy child. No abuse, no trauma, no reason to run. But that night, something changed. Something made her so afraid that she left her warm bed, left her sleeping family, and walked out into a freezing rain. Police arrived in minutes. The house was locked from the inside. No forced entry, no footprints in the mud outside. The pantry door was still locked, but when they opened it, the room was empty. Only her phone remained on the floor, still connected to the line. Her last recorded words, "It knows I'm here." To this day, Asher Degree has never been found. No body, no remains, no closure. Her case remains one of the most haunting missing person cases in American history. Investigators still can't explain how a 9-year-old girl vanishes from a locked house without opening a single door. And they still don't know what she was so afraid of that night. Case 2, the silent highway. Real case, the Highway 50 payphone mystery, 1990s Nevada. This call came from a lonely payphone along Highway 50 in Nevada, one of the most desolate stretches of road in America. No words, just steady, rhythmic breathing. No panic, just presence. The dispatcher tried everything. "Sir, are you hurt? Can you tell me where you are?" The man never spoke, not once, just breathing, controlled, deliberate, like someone performing a ritual. Then the sound of a car door opening, a single step on gravel, and the line went dead. When officers reached the phone minutes later, the receiver was still swaying in the wind. The cord was still warm, but the road was empty for miles in both directions. No car, no footprints, no sign anyone had ever been there. The man was never identified. No missing person report matched the call. No body was ever found. Audio experts who analyzed the recording say the breathing wasn't just calm, it was controlled, like someone performing a ritual. Some theorists believe it was a suicide call. Others think it was something far stranger, a man calling from a place that shouldn't exist, trying to communicate across a barrier we don't understand. To this day, Highway 50 is known as the loneliest road in America. And somewhere in those desert archives, that breathing still echoes on a tape that no one can fully explain. Case 3, the premonition. Real case, the 1994 Tomorrow Call, small-town dispatch, identity unknown. In 1994, a woman called a small-town dispatch center. She wasn't reporting a crime, she was reporting a future. The dispatcher on duty that day was a veteran named Sarah Chen. She would later describe the woman's voice as calm, almost clinical, like someone reading from a script they'd already memorized. The woman described a car accident at a specific intersection outside town. The make of the vehicles, the colors, the direction they would come from, and the exact time, 7:42 p.m. She gave no explanation. She didn't say why she knew. She just knew. Dispatch logged it as a prank, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling. She called a nearby officer and asked him to drive to the intersection. He thought she was crazy, but he went anyway. At 7:42 p.m. exactly, the crash happened, exactly as the woman described. Two vehicles collided. No one was seriously hurt, but the details were perfect. The make, the color, the angle of impact, everything. When dispatch tried to trace the call, they hit a wall. The number didn't exist. It wasn't just disconnected. The digital string of numbers was mathematically impossible for the 1994 phone grid. It was a call from a phone that shouldn't have been able to ring. The woman was never identified. No one ever called back. Sarah Chen kept the recording for the rest of her career, playing it occasionally to new dispatchers, asking them, "How do you explain this?" To this day, no one has an answer, and Sarah still wonders if that woman was trying to prevent a tragedy, or if she was trying to warn them about something far worse that was coming. Case 4, The Woods Are Watching. Real case, the Kevin Rash incident, 2015, Northern Michigan. A man calls from a remote cabin during a hunting trip. His name was Kevin Rash, a 34-year-old contractor from Michigan. He was experienced in the woods. He was calm under pressure, but his voice on that call was trembling. "There are people outside," he whispered to the dispatcher. "They came out of the woods. They're just staring at the house. They aren't moving. They aren't saying anything." The dispatcher asked for a description. Kevin paused. Then his voice dropped to a whisper so quiet it's barely audible on the recording. "They don't have faces, Sarah. They're just smooth." As the dispatcher tried to process what he was saying, a sound entered the recording, a high-pitched, metallic chattering that sounds like a machine trying to scream. It's not human, it's not animal, it's something in between. Kevin screams, the sound of glass shattering follows, then nothing. The line goes dead. When police arrived the next morning, the cabin was pristine. No broken glass, no footprints in the snow, no signs of struggle, but Kevin Rash was never seen again. His truck was still parked outside, his wallet was on the table, his hunting rifle was still in the corner. It was as if he had simply ceased to exist. The Michigan State Police classified the case as a voluntary disappearance, but the officers who responded that day don't believe it. They believe Kevin saw something in those woods that night, something that shouldn't exist in our world. And whatever it was, it took him. The final case, Brandon Swanson. Real case, Brandon Swanson, May 14th, 2008, Minnesota. We've reached the case I warned you about, the one that keeps dispatchers awake at night, the one that changed how we think about disappearances forever. His name was Brandon Swanson. He was 19 years old. On May 14th, 2008, he crashed his car into a ditch on a rural road near Canby, Minnesota. He wasn't hurt. He was calm. He called his parents. For 47 minutes, Brandon stayed on the phone with his mother and father as he walked through the dark, trying to find a landmark. He talked about the lights of a nearby town. He joked about the situation. He was a normal teenager, lost but not panicked, waiting for help. His parents were driving toward him. They were maybe 20 minutes away. And then, suddenly, Brandon interrupted himself mid-sentence. He didn't scream. He didn't cry out in pain. He didn't say he saw a predator or a cliff edge. He just said 2 words, his voice shifting from calm to something else entirely. "Oh, shit." And the line went silent. His parents called back. No answer. They drove to the location. They found his car in the ditch, exactly where he said it was. But Brandon was gone. Search parties, dogs, and drones have combed every inch of that area for over a decade. They've dredged rivers, they've searched forests, they've interviewed hundreds of people, but they never found a single footprint, a drop of blood, or a piece of clothing. Brandon didn't just disappear. It's as if, at the moment he said those words, he ceased to exist in our physical world. What did he see in that final second? Was it a fall? Was it an animal? Or was it something standing in the road that shouldn't have been there? Something that made a 19-year-old boy, calm and rational just moments before, realize that his world had fundamentally changed. That "oh shit" wasn't the sound of a man falling. It was the sound of a man realizing something impossible. And whatever he realized, it took him away from us forever. Brandon Swanson's case remains unsolved. His parents still don't know what happened to their son. And somewhere in a Minnesota dispatch archive, that final moment, that last breath before the silence, is preserved forever. We live in a world of satellites and constant surveillance. We think everything is recorded, tracked, and explained. We believe that if something happens, we'll know about it. We'll understand it. But these calls remind us that the airwaves are thin. Sometimes a 911 call isn't a bridge to help. It's a window into a place where our laws of physics and logic don't apply. Asher Degree vanished from a locked house. Kevin Rash was taken from a cabin with no signs of struggle. And Brandon Swanson stepped into the darkness and never came back. The next time your phone rings from an unknown number or you hear a strange static on the line, remember them, remember their voices. Because sometimes the voice on the other end isn't looking for help. It's looking for a way out. Which of these calls chilled you the most? Leave a comment with your theory on Brandon Swanson. Did he fall or did he see something else? What do you think happened to Asher Degree? Subscribe for more deep dives into the digital shadows and the mysteries that refuse to be solved.